Capricorns, get ready. This summer, Mercury Retrograde will be putting your relationships to the test, your marriage, your feelings, your agreements, and even the people you thought you had left behind for good. The reason is simple. Mercury is turning retrograde in Cancer, the sign that rules your 7th house of partnerships and significant relationships. And when the 7th house is activated, the past rarely stays in the past. One of the most important astrological periods of the summer is about to begin, on June 29, 2026. Mercury turns retrograde in Cancer and will remain retrograde until July 23rd. However, many of you will begin to feel its influence much earlier. By the middle of June, events may start unfolding as if life is deliberately asking you to revisit and reconsider things you have thought had already been settled. And what makes this retrograde especially interesting is that it is not just any Mercury retrograde. This time, Mercury is moving through Cancer, the sign of memory, family, emotional attachment, and the past. For Capricorn, Cancer is the opposite sign of the Zodiac, connected with partnerships, marriage, close relationships, the important people in your life. But this is not only about romance. Former partners, clients, employers, organizations, and anyone with whom you share important agreements, obligations, or unfinished business may suddenly reappear on your radar. That is why the main theme of this retrograde for Capricorn is not work and not money. The main theme is people, people from the past, unfinished conversations, old relationships, unspoken resentments, and questions that still need a final answer. Officially, Mercury turns retrograde on June 29th and goes direct again on July 23rd. However, the retrograde shadow period begins on June 12th and does not fully end until August 6th. This is why many events connected to this cycle may unfold over a much longer period than expected. If an old issue resurfaces in June, if someone from the past returns, or if you find yourself revisiting an important agreement, there is a good chance that situation will become one of the central themes of this retrograde, because it directly affects your relationship sector. Mercury retrograde is often associated with delays, confusion, and misunderstandings. But in Cancer, it works a little differently. It makes people remember old relationships, old promises, words that were spoken long ago. This is why many Capricorns may experience the unexpected return of former partners, former clients, old friends, or people they have not seen or heard from in years. But it is important to understand one thing. A return does not always mean a reunion. Sometimes a person comes back only so that a chapter can finally be closed. First, there may be a major review of your relationships. Many Capricorns could suddenly find themselves asking questions such as, is this person truly right for me? Are our goals still aligned? Should I continue investing in this relationship? Or is it time to move on? Second, old conflicts may resurface. Issues that have been ignored or left unresolved may demand attention. And because Cancer is deeply emotional, these conversations can carry a strong emotional charge. If you are currently single, Mercury retrograde may unexpectedly bring someone from your past back into your life, or encourage you to look at an old relationship from a completely different perspective. For some Capricorns, this may be an opportunity to finally get answers to questions that have remained unresolved for years. For others, it may bring a deeper understanding of why a particular relationship never worked out in the first place. However, this is not the best time to rush into commitments or make major decisions about your future. Sometimes the past returns not to stay, but to help you move forward. This is where the story becomes even more interesting. Almost at the same time, larger astrological processes are unfolding in the background. On July 7th, Neptune turns retrograde in Aries. For Capricorn, retrograde Neptune is moving through your 4th house of home, family, roots, and emotional foundations. Its purpose is to help you see more clearly situations that previously felt uncertain, confusing, or difficult to define. Many illusions begin to dissolve. What once seemed obvious may suddenly look very different. If there is an area of your life where you have been avoiding reality, July may encourage you to face it honestly. Then, on July 26th, shortly after Mercury retrograde ends, Saturn also turns retrograde in Aries. Like Neptune, Saturn is moving through your 4th house of home, family, and living situation. This can bring renewed attention to matters involving housing, relocation, family responsibilities, and your sense of security and stability. Saturn represents discipline, responsibility, and long-term commitments. Saturn asks important questions. What are you building? What is the foundation of your relationships? How solid are your plans? Together, these transits create a powerful sequence. First, Mercury reveals the issue. Then Neptune removes the illusions. And finally, Saturn asks you to make a mature and responsible decision. First, do not rush to conclusions. If a conflict arises in July, avoid making impulsive decisions. Mercury retrograde often shows only part of the story. The full picture usually becomes clear after Mercury moves direct again. Second, be especially careful with contracts, agreements, and promises. This is particularly important if they involve partners or joint projects. Read everything carefully, ask questions, double-check the details. Third, do not be surprised if the past suddenly reappears. This is one of the defining themes of this period. Someone may send a message, someone may call, someone may appear completely unexpectedly. But before reopening an old door, ask yourself one important question. Why is this story returning now? During Mercury retrograde, try to listen more than you speak and avoid jumping to conclusions. This is an excellent time to review relationships, revisit old agreements, and reflect on unresolved issues. What you should avoid is making impulsive decisions, issuing ultimatums, or reacting purely on emotion. If a situation truly matters, give it time to reveal its full story. In many cases, real clarity arrives only after Mercury turns direct again. For Capricorns, Mercury retrograde from June 29th to July 23, 2026, is likely to be less about mistakes and delays, and more about important conversations and relationship reassessments. It will bring unfinished matters back to the surface. Neptune will help reveal the truth. Saturn will push you toward a decision. That is why July 2026 may become a turning point for many Capricorns. Sometimes a single conversation can change more than an entire year of events. And those are exactly the kinds of conversations this summer may have in store for you.